Hi, everybody, and welcome to AQ's Blog and Grill. We're really excited today to have Greta Podleski with us, and Greta is part of this juggernaut called Looneyspoons, and they have published, they've sold over 2 million books, which kind of are like cookbooks, but they're kind of not. They're so funny and they're so original. That I think of them more as kind of a lifestyle thing. This business got started because you had this well thought out plan. You had a business plan that you toiled over for months, and so it all came together very smoothly. Am I correct? No?
We didn't really have a plan, to be honest with you.
Boy.
We just had an idea to create a cookbook that was completely different than anything that had been done before. We always said that everyone loves to eat and everyone loves to laugh. I don't know anybody that doesn't love to do both of those things.
Right.
So what if we could combine those two elements into a cookbook and get people laughing their way to good health and actually wanting to prepare healthy foods, and maybe appeal to people who have never been in the kitchen before or who don't know how to cook, and not just, trained chefs, and go for sort of the average everyday Joe. And that's how we came up with the idea for Looneyspoons.
Well, you did good, because that's exactly what happened. So when you decided to go into business together, this must have been, you visited a bank, you talked to mentors, and boom, you had all the financing lined up. Is that not correct?
No. For us at the beginning, we weren't thinking ahead to how are we going to market it, how are we going to sell it, how are we going to get chapters to carry it. Would Costco ever sell this book? For us, it was all about the product. Let's build this book and make it the best book that we can make it, so that it appeals to the widest variety of people. And we were truly motivated for the right reason. We wanted to help people to eat more healthfully, because that's the way that we ate.
Right.
And yet we were going to the stores and looking at the other cookbooks and thinking, there's so many healthy cookbooks out there, but they're kind of dry, written by doctors and dietitians, charts, graphs, there's got to be an easier way. And I actually moved into my sister's house. I started doing all the cooking. And, a few months into it, my brother-in-law was sitting around the table, and he kind of, went like this, and he said to me, "Since you've been doing all the cooking, I have actually lost a lot of weight, but yet I'm eating lasagna and cheesecake and burgers and stuff that I love. So how is this possible?"
Can't be possible.
And he really sparked the idea. He said, "You know what, if this is healthy food, you should write a cookbook, because the world needs to know about these recipes."
Right.
And so we literally started the next day.
So then you both quit your jobs.
On the same day, walking out the door, we literally did the sister pact, saying, today's the day we have to quit our jobs to work on this full time if we're really going to do it. And it was only a month into it. We figured just do it full time or don't do it at all. We didn't come from a wealthy family. We didn't have a lot of savings. We had all of our credit cards rung up to the max. We went 14 months with no income to work on Looneyspoons out of our tiny basement office. And I remember going to the bank machine one day to take out $20. And the message comes up, and it said, "This exceeds your limit of $1.17. And that is truly all the money I had. And I remember saying to Janet when I got home, I just don't know how I'm going to do this. I have no money. And she said, "You know what, there's got to be some way, there's got to be a way for us to get some money." And so we decided to have an everything but the kitchen sink yard sale the next day, because it's all we knew how to do at the time. The next day, we stayed up all night. I stayed up all night baking muffins, and we put up signs around the neighborhood, and we made $9,000 that Saturday morning. And so we always jokingly say our next book should be how to have a successful yard sale when you're desperate.
Right. I think a lot of people would benefit from that.
They might. We had a little bit of money to keep going, and it eventually got to the point where we thought we had enough of a manuscript and sample pages to send to the big publishers, and of course they all came back rejected. Don't quit your day job. It was too late. The experts were telling us that food and humor didn't go together. This will never work. It was really, really discouraging. Yeah. And yet somehow we just kept hearing that voice. We were hearing voices to continue and don't give up. And then we actually turned the tables on them. We thought they were crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, and you know what made us believe in it is that we were showing these sample pages to our potential consumers and to our buyers, people in our target market. And they were saying, not only do I love this, but I would actually buy 5 copies of that for my friends.
Yeah.
So everybody that was in our target market was saying, that's amazing. But all the experts were saying, do you run a restaurant? Are you chefs? What's your background? You can't do this. You're going to get eaten alive out there. And it's like we just shut those people out and we focused on the people that we thought would buy the book. And that was a smart move.
Absolutely. So you had passion.
Yeah.
You had courage.
Yeah.
And you were committed because you didn't have a choice.
We didn't have a choice. We really risked everything that we had. But, you know, Janet and I didn't have kids. We sort of looked at each other and said, what's the worst thing that can happen? Yeah, we'll be in debt and we'll have to go back to our regular 9-to-5 jobs. Right. But that didn't sound so awful.
No.
On the other hand, if we never did it, we always would have been saying, what if? Remember that book idea we had?
Could have been.
Can you imagine if we had done that? What would have happened? And we couldn't live with that.
Right.
So we just went for it, and despite the rejection, just kept forging ahead.
Yeah. You contacted somebody who had already been in the self-publishing business and had done pretty well.
Somebody put an article on our kitchen table. It was 3 or 4 pages stapled together. And it was from a magazine called Saturday Night Magazine. You might remember it. I don't think they create it anymore. And it was a story of the success of the wealthy barber. And I remember the title of the article clearly. It was called A Little Off the Top. And he was in a barber chair with shaving cream on. And Janet and I read the article, and it was so inspirational about his story, because initially he got rejected and he self-published, and he was from Ontario and then had this huge success. And we put it on our little bulletin board in our basement for inspiration. But it was motivation enough that Janet picked up the phone and called him. His phone number was in the back of the book. She explained our story, what we were doing. We ended up meeting with him here in Kitchener-Waterloo, and it literally changed our lives. That meeting. And that was all from reading that article and Janet having the guts to call him. Because to be honest with you, I was, for some reason, being negative Nelly, saying, well, he writes finance books. Like, what's he going to want with 2 sisters working out of their basement on a cookbook? And I don't know why I felt that way. I'm like, he's not going to talk to you, and he's this celebrity. And she said, I'm going to call him. And she did. And I think when you're an entrepreneur starting out like we were, you have to have confidence, but not arrogance. People hate arrogance.
Big difference.
But if you're confident, then your enthusiasm is contagious. And you need everybody around you to get excited about what you're doing and to believe in you.
Right.
So I feel like we were blessed to have that we were so confident about this idea that we even thought the experts didn't know what they were talking about, but yet we were never arrogant about it. And we aren't arrogant people, and we aren't to this day. Right. But I think that most entrepreneurs, if you can't believe in your idea, nobody else will.
My wife Susan had this book. I would read it for laughs.
Well, you know what? One of the best compliments we ever got came from a man who was in his 80s. He called our office years ago, and he said, I bought your cookbook on the weekend. Never cooked a meal in my life, probably never will, but I bought it because I thought it was so funny. I'm going to keep it in the bathroom. And I said, I think that's a compliment. And that's where all the fiber ends up anyway. Janet says, we printed it on 2-ply paper just for you.
You guys were absolutely, I felt, through the book itself, authentic and wanting to be helpful.
You know, it's a personal brand to the nth degree, because we do everything. We're not just the face, but we respond to all the tweets, all the Facebook posts, the phone calls, the emails. It's really us. And so we've developed a loyal following on Facebook because people have figured out that's really Janet and Greta posting. And they're responding to me when I ask a question. So we've always been very careful to keep it very personal with people. It's also really casual. We are the farthest things from food snobs and elitist. You know, people often fret when I'm coming over to their house for dinner about what they're going to make. I always say to them, if you made me Kraft dinner with cut up hot dogs in it and put ketchup on it, I'd be really happy.
There you go.
Because I like everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a health nut, but that doesn't mean that people have to go overboard to prepare me something special. And we're just so easy to get along with. And we're not, our books are made for people who are 8 or 80, or they're a novice chef, or they're a trained professional. Like, it doesn't really matter. And so we've always tried to keep that sort of casual feeling. Anybody can do it. Everybody's welcome. And it's also a brand that I feel that it's very happy and fun and positive. We don't criticize anybody. We don't say, don't eat this or you're going to die. We say, eat this and you'll be well. You know, we try to spin it that way.
Right.
So we don't want to take away from you, we want to give.
Right.
And so people are drawn to that. I think it's one of the reasons our books have done so well. People say to us, I feel really good when I'm cooking from it. I open it, it's happy, it's fun, it's easy. My kids like it, my husband likes it. And then that starts the word of mouth. And in our business, word of mouth is what sells books. It's not being on TV. You need to start it that way. You need to promote it so everybody knows you have a book out. You do all the Canada AMs and City Lines of the world.
Right.
But with a cookbook, it's going to be Susie talking to Betty, talking to Mary, talking at the dinner party, and that's how you get the sales, is developing that relationship so that people want to become your ambassador.
Now, you guys have a new YouTube thing going on.
It just
Health Nut.
started.
Health Nuts.
We just created a YouTube channel called Health Nuts with Janet and Greta because we have been tinkering with the idea of going back into television. But we're not sure what we would like to do. So we're sort of testing the waters. We're creating these little professionally done videos with a crew that are, 5-6 minutes long about the attention span of somebody on YouTube.
Right.
But they're fun. They're informative. You're going to learn something. You're going to learn how to make a new recipe. You'll understand why you should be making it. I show you how to do it. Janet tells you why. She's a registered holistic nutritionist.
Right.
So when I'm cooking with avocado, she's telling you why you should be interested in them. When I'm cooking with spices, she's telling you why they're good for you. So it's a really good balancing act between what I do and what she does. And a lot of change has changed in the world of cooking and nutrition since we started in 1996. So when we wrote the Looneyspoons collection, our newest, biggest book, we took those older, outdated recipes and we revised them and healthified them to be more for the current times.
Right.
Better carbs, better fats, 150 gluten-free recipes, that sort of thing.
More relevance,
and whatever
still
we
fun.
do in the future will obviously reflect all of those trends. I'd have to say that I don't ever feel disadvantaged in my career being a woman. In fact, I would say the opposite. I've had a lot of advantages being a woman in the cookbook industry. But in 1995, when we started, I don't believe there were nearly the number of female entrepreneurship support groups, networking organizations that you can join now, where women are in similar positions. A lot of times women just need a little nudge and some support from other women going through the same thing. And I think one thing that makes it more difficult for women to be entrepreneurs is that they often first put a responsibility on their responsibilities for their family. So if they have kids and a husband and a home and a family, that comes first. And it's hard to drop all that to go full-time into entrepreneurship. We didn't have that. I didn't have kids. I didn't have to worry about it. But if I did, my life may have gone a different route. I may not have had the guts to just do this with Janet and make that pact and go out the door and say quitting our jobs today. You can't expect women with kids to do that. And so I just think they need more encouragement and more support and need a bigger network because someone might have to look after the kids. And it's always going to be on their minds as a priority. Right? But luckily, there are a lot more groups now for women to get involved in. So if I was a female entrepreneur starting out, I'd be trying to hook up with those people. And then they have great speakers come who have done it, right? Who have been there, who are in your shoes with your, business idea that you've mapped out, in your little home office, but you're afraid to start. Right? And they can point you in the right direction. I mean, being an entrepreneur is seriously hard work, but totally worth it. I'm so glad we did what we did when we did it.
So, Greta, what's next for Looneyspoons?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. It's a new year. Do we write another cookbook? Maybe. Do we create another television show about healthy eating and healthy living? I could do that.
You could do that?
We have food products that we sell at Costco.
Yes, which are terrific.
Thank you. We're always looking at new ideas, new food products. We have someone else that took over our food business.
Okay.
I didn't like running a food business, and I would just rather have someone else do it. So now we license, which is way better for me because then I can focus on recipes and food, and that's what really I'm much more passionate about. I have been toying with a unique restaurant concept in my mind for 2 years.
Neat.
Don't we all need a healthy, quick place to eat?
Yes, we do.
Where you can just go in and get what you want and get out really quickly and feel good about what you're eating.
Boom, boom.
I can hear people saying, yes, do it.
I hear tummies growling over the internet. Greta, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
We loved hearing your story, and we
you.
look forward to more exciting things are
To
going
come.
to happen.
I just don't know what they are.
We'll find out later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, if you're watching AQ's Blog and Grill, there's a little button there that says subscribe. So if you take your cursor and you go over there and push that on subscribe, you too will be a subscriber to AQ's Blog and Grill. And we're getting 12 of Greta and Janet's new book. And we're going to be giving those in a contest form to subscribers to AQ's Blog and Grill. You should also be making sure that you have liked the Looneyspoons Facebook page. You can follow both Greta and Janet on Twitter. And I'm sure you're going to want to look at their new YouTube channel, Health Nuts. So I think I've pretty much pumped everything I could there. I think I've pretty much pimped everything for our listeners, our fabulous listeners.
Yes.
So have a great day and tune in next week for another episode of AQ's Blog and Grill.